Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell me what your full name is, please?
Herbert Cecil Mowthorpe, M-O-W-T-H-O-R-P-E.
Okay. And can you tell me where and when you were born, Herbert?
1st of February 1928 at number 3 Outgate Lane, Humberby. When I was 4 and a half, my father was a local builder, a wheelwright, joiner, undertaker, contractor, and he built a house on the corner of Outgate Lane and Stonegate. He built a pair of semis, and we moved into that when I was 4, which was 131 Stonegate now. And when I was 55, I built a bungalow on the opposite corner where I live, 129 now. So I've an extensive travelled life. I've crossed the road twice. All through my life, I was fortunate to go to Bridlington School, and but my father always had me on holidays, sweeping up, helping and doing lads' jobs at our workshop, because we employed 30 men at that time.
Really, that many?
Yes. We built all Humberby Gap and Primrose Valley and quite a lot in Humberby, as well as the wheelwrighting and undertaking trade as well. Now, during that time, 2 prominent landmarks in my life was the Royal Jubilee of 1935 of George V, and then the coronation of George VI in 1937. I was at Humberby School at that time, and it was a big day. The village had the school, not the village, the school had a pageant. I know on one of them I was a Norman soldier. I forget the other one. Oh, I was a knight on a hobby horse thing. Yeah, and we paraded round the village, ended up on Cross Hill, where the whole school sang Land of Hope and Glory and another hymn I just forget now. Yes, the piano from the school was taken up, and the headmaster was the pianist and the church organist as well. Mr. Bray, we accompanied him. And it was full of carnival as well. Those decorated lorries and what have you. Those were 2 very prominent occasions, and I often judge my life by them.
Really?
Was it before then or was it after?
Benchmark sort of thing, yeah. What about your mother? Was your father from Humberby?
No, well, oh yes, father was in there since 1730 at least. My mother had roots. She was, her father was a wheelwright, joiner, contractor, and he went into steam at Bransburton. He was in quite a big way, and he was big and we were, but he didn't do a lot of building. He did building, but not a lot. And he was, of course, she was brought up with undertaking and what have you, and she eventually developed our taxi side, to which we had 3 cars, and mother's, dad's and my own, in the 40s and 50s, late 40s and 50s, yeah.
What was your mother's maiden name?
Stennett, S-T-E-N-N-E-T-T. Same as that comedian, Stan Stennett, yeah. No connection.
No connection. You've done a lot of research, I believe, into the area of Humberby, am I right in saying that?
Yes, well, apart from the fact that I've always had a very good memory, which is not infallible, I might add, as I've been found out many times, but I was very fortunate to have the next door neighbour, that wonderful lady, Miss Houston. Miss Houston, her father was a parish councillor, and she took over from him simply because the rest of the Humberby parish councillors were men and didn't want it. So I said, right, Lucy, you can do it. And she was very civic-minded. She was then the chairman of the Borough Council, Rural District Council, sorry, and ended up as vice chairman of planning of the county, in which she was made an alderman in 1956, I think 56, yeah. She was a county alderman. She also was very, very big on local history. She had although she was born in the era when women didn't really bother about things like that, she was born 1890 about, and she researched a lot of Hunbury on her own bat, and she wrote the first definitive book, Hunbury, A Story of 10 Centuries, which I still use today as a valuable background. Haven't you got one in there? I'll give you one, a spare one. Right, one came my way quite accidentally. I'll bring you it down. It's
That'd be nice.
yeah, because here is the connection. You see, according to records at County Hall, Beverley, the manor of Scorby gave or passed over to the manor of Hunbury a little bit called Filey, which was about three or four fields and a few houses.
He gave it away?
Yeah, somewhere around about 1080. We've defined that because that was when the Normans put down the rising and the establishing of the north. I don't know anything to do with that, but I wasn't around then, but it did. And so we got Filey, tacked right onto the end, up to the ravine. The ravine was the end of the Hunbury Manor, on land. But on sea, it went to the end of the brig, because the lord of the manor had rights to all of the seaward side. His rights being by, I suppose, is by right that, what do you know? Not a spear, a javelin throw from low water, he claimed all as his. And when the horse came into being in the 18th century, of course, a man on a horse could throw a javelin a lot further than he could throw sorry, I've done this proverbial. He could throw it a bit further, so the man went up to waist deep in the horse and threw it. And then he had a symbolic dredging with a horse. Anything which resembles anything which arose in the Bay of Filey, that was from the brig to Whitecliffs, past Reeton. Reeton was part of Hunbury Manor then, as was Filey, but it went right up to Speeton, right up to the White Rocks. And anything that's washed up there was his right, except a sturgeon, of course, which was a royal fish, and if you ever got one of those, it went down to king. But there's no record of that, not of a sturgeon anyway. We've had whales wash up, we've had all sorts of things, but I don't, and actually, it sounds silly, but remember the shipwrecks of the 16th, 17th and 18th century. They were all wooden vessels. They broke up and they washed up. And as a local joiner for 20 years, and my father for 50 before me, 40, I can tell you now, many, many roofs had purlins of ships, particularly masts. I have a photograph, it's one of our properties, and it's obviously the foot of a mast because it's got the, what you call it, into the keel. And when we took it down, I didn't take it, it was taken down, the person said to me, Ces, come here. And he said, get a heavy hammer and a 3-inch nail. And you know, I couldn't get that nail into there with a hammer. It bent the nail. Yes, I mean, and there was many houses, particularly sheds and what have you. The timbers were most useful. And however, that's just another little bit of interest. don't think there's any left now, but there might be one or two barns in North Burton. Because you see, North Burton was part of Hunmanby.
As far away as that?
Oh yeah, the Hunmanby Manor stretched, now let me get this right, 3 leagues by 8. And if you work out the league of the 1,000 yards, that's the Roman league, 3 leagues is just about what it is from Filey to Reeton on the sands, excluding the bit of the brig, which were not, they were useless to the manor anyway. Yeah. And 8 leagues just about takes you just back in a straight line back of Wold Newton. Now, Hunmanby was the lord of the manor of Wold Newton, Filey, Merton Fleming, Reeton, Speeton. Yes, that's right. And there was another one, a funny name, I think it was, it has no trace of it now, but he was a lord of those manors, yes. They were rather all part of the manor of Hunmanby. And he was, of course, the first one was, how does your mind blank when you want to say something? Let's just change the subject and I'll
continue.
Yeah, the lord of the manor, he owned all those, and eventually.
Was it De Gant?
Pardon?
De Gant.
Thank you. Yeah. The De Gant family were granted that they already had lands in Lincolnshire, and a lot of early Hunmanby history is in the records of the Abbey
Is it?
Pardon?
Yes,
right. A surprising lot. It's always available. Well, Miss Houston got quite a bit from there, I know. And he was given this. I think his son came up, and he Morris was the lord of the manor at Hunmanby until his father's death, and afterwards, of course. And he founded Lincoln Priory, and it rebuilt, I say, all the churches locally. I can put up a good argument for All Saints Church, Hunmanby, being of a Saxon nature, of maybe a wooden church, or until rebuilt by the Normans. And to begin with, the name All Saints. Now, there is no such word as All Hallows in Norman French. And nearly all churches, all Norman churches built on Saxon sites, if their name was All Hallows, of which there was no literal translation in Norman French, they call it All Saints. You're hallowed, you're saintly. Common sense. To anybody who thinks about it. Yeah. It was All Saints. There was also, there's there's some Saxon crossheads used for building the extension of the North Isle in the 1200s, and many other good reasons which one could say. There was a form of church at Hunmanby before the Normans rebuilt it. But there were great church builders, you know. I think New Filey Church had a nice Norman arch in it, right? And so on and so forth. Now, after the Gants, in the reign of King Stephen, that troubled time, the original manor got very dispersed because it only passed on to sons, and daughters sometimes were given bits. But a chap called Oswald Eston from York bought his brother-in-law's manor in Hunmanby, quite a small but he was a canny lad, and also he had a brother in the treasury, and another one who was Archbishop of Ulster, and between them, several of the manors of Hunmanby, because there was at least 7, it was split up into 7 through marriage and the ending of the De Gants. The De Gants ended because they were all women, you know, and they couldn't inherit, and so they were maybe passed on to their husbands or what have you. However, at that time, in about 1600, the Osbaldistons bought, and eventually 2 manors went into chancery. His brother was the treasurer. Okay, he bought them for a song, and he gradually bought all the other and a lot of other land, right as far as field as Driffield, which he bartered and sold off. And I believe, and I say this, is purely my own personal and other people's. I think there was a link with smuggling with the Osbaldistons. To prove it, you know, now we're coming back to Filey, aren't we? Not Filey as such, but Filey Bay. It was obviously an easy place to bring things in. The Scotch Greys were at, the Royal Scotch Greys, were at the Scarborough, what do you call it? What was the, where all the troops started?
Militia.
Pardon?
Militia.
No, they were the troops, the royal at the barracks, Scarborough Barracks, yeah. And they were a canny lot. I had to keep it down, but there is records. And as far as the smuggling is concerned, T.P. Young, who lived to be 93, and I remember him well, he, as a boy, told Miss Amston that one night, he remembered it well, he was about 8 or 9, he was told by his mother, if he heard any noises outside, go to sleep, he was to concern. Well, you tell a 9-year-old boy that. Yeah. And so he kept awake, and he did, and he saw a whole horde of horses, donkeys, and whatever would carry, going up